We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Talking elder law this morning with Tim Takacs, one of the top attorneys in this field in the country. Been coming on for years. It's good to have him on, joining us from Zoom from his office in Hendersonville, right?
Yes.
Well,
actually, I'm in my basement.
See, the wonders of Zoom. I love it. It doesn't matter where you are. You are the individual with the information, not the office building itself. So.
Thank you. Yes.
Hey, listen, we talked about, getting the details and lined up and all this. And I think your practice deals with, shall we say, unsupported elders. And I want you to give us that definition of that and the idea that there are elderly out there who don't have family members to assist them. And sometimes, without that help, it can be a real pickle.
Right. Yeah, we coined the term unsupported elders because we know that out there are people that call them orphan elders. Let's say they have no children and a spouse passes away, and I've heard the term orphan. Now that person becomes an orphan elder. And we really don't like that term because we really think that there are a lot of people out there that are not, certainly they're not orphans. And there are people that are orphans that, but what characterizes this group is that there are people that are older people out there that lack support. Maybe they have children, but their children are unsupported, or they're not supporting them or assisting them, or they live out of state or for whatever reason. So they need, as they age, they're going to need some assistance, some support. So we found more and more that there are people out there that are unsupported, or older people, and so we're working on developing a program to provide assistance and support for them. Some of them might be, maybe they need somebody to be maybe a power of attorney for them, or a healthcare agent for them. Maybe they have money, but they don't know how to spend it or spend it wisely, or they just need maybe somebody to come in and live with them, provide support for them in that way. So, there's a whole lot of people out there, and so, this is a project or a long-term service that we are trying to develop for our clients.
There's no doubt there is a need for that. I think that's a great idea. Mm-hmm. Let's take another phone call. We have one from Debbie. Debbie, good morning. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, how are you doing, Nick?
Good. What's on your mind?
Well, this is in regards to wills. I'm an orphan elder.
Okay.
A few years back, I went online and I went through the process of making a will. Then I took it to the courthouse and I had it notarized. Now I'm being told that will is not validated, and that I don't need to have an administrator, I just need to have a trustee. And with no children, all I care about is that my dog's taken care of, and not a lot of assets or anything. So can I get some advice about that? For what do you do when you don't have any family or anybody, and that now I'm being told the will is not validated?
Can you tell me who's telling you that?
A friend of mine.
So your friend's telling you that it's not. I mean, on what basis? I mean, I'll let Tim address this, but your friend could be wrong.
Well, she said she went to a lawyer, and the lawyer told her that.
And she showed him the copy of the will that you had?
No.
Okay, here, I'm going to let Tim...
She was talking to him about her will.
Okay, well, it sounds like you did everything right, but Tim, you go ahead, and I'm going to keep her on the line if you have a question to maybe help you answer. Stay on the line with us, but let's let Tim answer as best as he can.
Okay, so, Debbie, you have a will. Did you type it up yourself, or how did you do that?
Did you type it up yourself, or how did you prepare it, Debbie?
Yes. I typed it up. There was instructions on each section of the will that I've thought about it, went through it, typed it up, copied it off and took it to the courthouse.
Well, for one is that you don't need to go to the courthouse to do it.
She said she took it there to get it notarized. Yeah, I guess, to get it notarized.
Right. Yeah, and a will does not need to be notarized. The will needs to be witnessed.
Okay. So what you would have, Debbie, is that, okay, so you have a document that, it's your last will and testament, and it says I leave my, how you want to divide your property or who you want to leave to. And then what you do is that you have two persons that know you that come in either to your house or you go to them. So the will has to be witnessed by two persons. The will doesn't have to be notarized. So she needs that, and witnessed meaning then they sign onto the will that they were witnesses. There's a section for them to sign on.
Yes, there are. Yes, there. And those are the sorts of things that there are people that, you can go online and you can find wills that typically will have, put all the paragraphs that you need. There'll be somebody that you want to appoint as your executor of your estate. So when you pass away, somebody is there that will the person that you name, to administer your estate. Estate administration basically is, if you have money or property, then you need to have somebody that you appoint, the executor, to manage that for you. So that person is typically called an executor. So you name somebody, like maybe a friend or somebody like that. But the most important thing is, I think you've figured out, is you go to the courthouse, and either you sign the document and then you have it notarized, but it doesn't need to be notarized. It needs to be witnessed.
Yeah, just have people. And let me ask you, so your main concern is you are, as you said, an unsupported or orphan elder. So you want to just take care of your dogs when you go. Have you already arranged for someone to take your dogs, or do you know who will have them, or what is your plan?
Yeah.
Okay, so you just want to make sure you're leaving your dogs and whatever assets you have left to that person to care for the dogs?
Well, yes, I left money to take care of the dog.
Okay.
And the dog will go back to the breeder. And so which they would get the money to either take care of him or find him another home, because he's not that old.
So have you talked to the breeder about that?
Have you talked to,
I'm sorry.
Have you talked to the breeder about it? Are they aware of the arrangement?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're also the co-owner with me on this dog.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
And as for getting it signed and witnesses, I did that at the courthouse. I went up there, had it done, and since there's enough money for the dog and enough to cremate me, that's I'm covered there. But my problem is that my friend said, well, that will's no good, and that I needed a trustee so that they wouldn't have to pay taxes, state taxes, and all that. Well, if you don't have any money, I don't see where a person has to pay taxes on somebody that has no money involved except for a life insurance policy.
Tim, can you put her mind at ease here about what she needs to?
Yeah, I think, a lot of times it sounds like what you're getting, Debbie, is a person is maybe well-meaning because they're saying, look, you want to make sure this is done the right way, but that person is not necessarily, they don't know everything about what you're trying to do here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you came to see me or you came to see another lawyer, and because from time to time I have people come in and say, well, would you look at this document and tell me whether this, whether I'm on the right track or not. We don't often do that, but once in a while we do. But it's kind of one of those things that be careful about who you're talking to.
Yeah. When we talk about wills, so I guess the best thing for you, Debbie, is, make sure you have the witnesses, have the forms put together, double check, And then what does she do with the will once she has it all written? Is it something she puts in a safe deposit box? Does she make copies that she gives to someone? Does she file it with the court?
What she should. Okay, for one thing is don't put it in a safe deposit box, because when you're dead, somebody has to get access to that box.
Good point. Good point. Okay.
And so probably the most important thing to do is keep it in a safe place. Sometimes people say, well, what about a house fire? And then we say, well, if you're really worried about that, get a fireproof box and put it in the fireproof box, but don't lock it. Because if, then people say, well, what if somebody breaks into my house and steals the box? Well, wills don't have street value. Mm-hmm. So keep the box open so it's not locked. So, if somebody finds it, they'll shake it out and say, because they're looking for good stuff, not your will.
Right.
And make sure someone that knows where it is.
Okay. Well, it sounds like she should be in good shape. It's interesting. A lot of people leave and their concern is their pets, their animals. Are there any special considerations when you leave part of your estate for your animals as opposed to if you're leaving it for a human being?
Nick, one of the things that I was thinking about being a trustee, and we actually in Tennessee, and probably like many, if not most states, they have a concept called a pet trust. Mm-hmm. And and I don't want to sort of get into discourse here about trust, but human beings can. But there are a lot of people out there like Debbie is that, well, I want to make sure my dogs, are taken care of. I mean, I have 5 cats, and, at some point my wife and I are going to say, well, at what point do we have to make sure that our cats are provided for? So, we maybe set up, like you mentioned, you set aside some money, and and you have a friend or somebody who is who you're tasking with being responsible for taking care of your pets. And it's really just sort of an honorary thing, because since we're not talking about a trust for a human being, if you've got a trust for a human being, there are accounting sometimes that you need to file. There are other issues that come up, but in the eyes of the law, pets are property. They're personal property. But needless to say, us pet owners, we don't think about that.
Right.
So we have to think about, how are we going to make, and the legislatures have done that. They're basically setting up like I mentioned, an honorary pet trust, where you have a trusted person that you'd set money aside for that person, and that you're essentially contracting with them. So when you're dead, that your animals will be taken care of. And that's basically that's probably all we can hope for as pet owners.
Yeah. As we go to the break, Tim,
that's going to be happening.
There are a lot of people who are just animal lovers in general. I do so much with Animal Rescue Corps and other organizations. One of our viewers here at News Channel 5 actually contacted me, and she says, Nick, I want to leave my estate, and I'm going to have you be the executor. And I want you to give the money to legitimate animal rights organizations. And that's what's going to be written in. I mean, she just reached out to me, and I'm like, well, if that's what you want to do, fine. I'll take care of that for you. It's a wonderful gesture by a woman, and I'm glad she trusts me, and we'll take care of that for her. Listen, we'll take a break. When we come back, more phone calls for you, Tim. You're a popular guy, and we'll continue our conversation about elder law right after this. Stay with us.
This